and welcome to the Whiskey Trials. Look, I'm here. I'm over here. Woo! Yep, that's right. I'm in Lindores Abbey. In this video, I'm going to taste and discuss the first offering from Lindores Abbey Distillery, the new distillery. Fairly new. Started production in 2017. Done an amazing job. I mean, look at this place. What an amazing distillery is. So, without further ado, let me welcome you inside the distillery, and we can taste this dram and see how we get on. Hello! I'm in the distillery now. Well, I was in the distillery before, but now you're with me. Right, so, arguably the birthplace of whiskey, with the first written account being from 1494 on whiskey production. So, that's over 500 years of heritage, whiskey making heritage, and history. So, you know, how does their first offering live up to such grandeur and such a big intro? So, let us just get into it. So I'm going to start off quickly because you know it has to be said. You know, just almost kind of bright, but the bottle, very nice bottle. I like the branding. It's very nice. It's very you know, I like the feel of the kind of paper and the color of it. It's kind of old school. Makes me feel like it's like an old bit of parchment kind of thing. Really cool. Let me just read out some of the information that's on the label. It is one of the things that I'd like to see them expand upon. I'd like to see a bit more information on the label. I just like the information being there without, you know, having to like phone them or try and find it out. So this first edition is the cask types are bourbon, sherry, and wine barrique. So okay, so we don't know what kind of sherry. We don't know what kind of wine. It is at 46% ABV. And yeah, it's, you know, fairly limited on the sort of information. Good thing is, like, there's I don't mind that there's no tasted notes or anything like that. I don't mind that because I like to just find out for myself. But it's sometimes quite nice to have like a little bit of a story or whatever. So let me just read out what it says on the bottom bit of this label here. Distilled from Kingdom of Fife barley at Lindores Abbey Distillery through our distinctive sister spirit stills, and distillery bottled by our wonderful team of Lindores people. So I think they've done a fantastic job. The Mackenzie Smiths really done a fantastic job to get the distillery back up and running. Or well, it wasn't a distillery before, right? It was an abbey, but to create a distillery with that kind of whiskey heritage, I think it's amazing. They've done a fantastic job. Done a fantastic job on the bottle and the branding, all that kind of stuff. Would like to see a little bit more information, but you know, there you go. So, you know, because they started production in 2017, we know this is young whiskey. It's got to be, right? It's 3-4 years old, something like that. And interestingly, one of the first questions I'd have is like, how long is it spent in each cask? Bourbon, sherry, and wine barrique. Like, you know, that's quite a lot of changing in quite a short space of time for whiskey, really, isn't it? So that, if anybody knows that, please comment below and give me a heads up on how long it's spent in each of these casks. I would imagine it's probably spent most of the time in the bourbon, and then it's had a sort of quick finish, maybe for 6 months or so in the sherry and wine barrique. But I do not know. You know, the color, I'm presuming, again, that's another thing. There's no, it doesn't say that it's not chill filtered and that there's no coloring added. I'm guessing by that color there isn't any coloring added. It does look like a nice bourbon bomb, as it were, not too sherried, and not too kind of dark wine porty kind of thing going on there. So that's why I think it's probably spent the most time in the bourbon barrels. But who knows? But yeah, I'd like to know if it's chill filtered as well. I'm presuming not. I think they're probably doing things the right way. It's come out with 46% as well, which is all good. That's, you know, just the kind of things that we want. So without further ado, let us jump straight into the nose. I poured one earlier. It is capped with one of my whiskey coins. Some of them still got some available. Don't think I've got that many left now. You can see it on the website, so thewhiskeytrials.com/shop, and you'll be able to see how many I've got left. I don't think it's that many at all. So get them while you can. Still batch one. Right. Okay. So as you can see, I've put off this review. I didn't want to be the first one to review this. Mainly because of the sort of journey that I've had with it, which I'll explain as we go on. I know a lot of people have put out reviews when they've only just tasted it, you know, right out the kind of neck pour, as it were. So I've given it a good go, and I've let it sit in the, you know, the bottle with some air in it for a good while. This dram has been sitting for a good sort of 10, 15, maybe even 20 minutes. And on the nose, so when I wish I took some notes on it actually. The nose, when I initially opened this bottle, I was kind of like, ooh, there was a bit of an alcohol sting there. There was some kind of tropical notes and things happening, which I normally associate with a young whiskey, but you know, it's no surprise that this is a young whiskey, so there's no problem there. But when I first opened it, kind of felt like it was lighter, more floral, more fruity, and I would maybe liken it to like a Glencadam with that kind of grassiness. I felt like it was a really nice summer malt, but as it's gone down, and now as I'm smelling it, still getting a little bit of tingle on the nose. Feel like the nose has changed a little bit over time. I'm still getting some. I'm still getting floral notes, fruity notes, but there's like a sour tinge to it, and maybe a sort of bitter chocolate. It now really reminds me of an Auchentoshan, and maybe that's no real surprise, being you know, a lowland whiskey, perhaps share some of the characteristics. And I didn't know this until I watched another review on it, was that it's triple distilled. I did not realize that. Not sure I'm a fan of triple distilling. I do like an Auchentoshan. It has that kind of chocolatey coffee note that I enjoy, and this seems like it might do too. I want to say that I feel like I'm getting a bit more kind of orange, bitter orange, and maybe that's why I'm getting the kind of bitterness. I'm getting the orange zest a bit. And now, like I said before, I felt like it was a lighter, more delicate note. Now I feel like it's a bit more of a warming, slightly more of a winter kind of whiskey. You know, I definitely feel like there's been a change in the bottle, which is interesting as well, because you know, it gives you an interesting journey through throughout your time with it. Some honey and baking spice, baking sugar as well. Catching like a little edge there of the sherry. Very slight stewed fruits, raisins. And a sort of light touch with the red fruits, potentially from the wine. Okay.
The palate.
Let's dive in. Surprisingly strong for a 46. Does have a bit of impact there with the alcohol. Very initial sweet note, which I'm going to describe as definitely the kind of the baking sugars coming through, the icing sugar. Yeah, there's the chocolatey kind of almost coffee like taste that I kind of likened to Auchentoshan. I think if you're a fan of Auchentoshan, I think you really like this. It's definitely the one, out of all the sort of other different distilleries that I've tried, that I'm kind of like, this is most like Auchentoshan. But it's its own thing. It's its own. It's got its own feel to it. It's definitely distinct. There is like that kind of flat taste. I know I always say this flat taste, and I think it always comes from the wood. So there's always that kind of woody overtone. I think this would fool a lot of people into like if you were going to guess age statements and stuff. I think this would probably fool quite a lot of folk. When I first tried this, complete honesty here, I was enjoying the nose because it was definitely changing as I was smelling it. The palate, the taste. After a little while, I did get a little bit bored with it. I had 2 drams of it initially, and I was like, I think I'm gonna leave it. So I went on to something else. So I had the 2 drams, and I thought, yeah, it's maybe just like the kind of neck pour or whatever. I'm just gonna leave it. I think now that it's kind of had time to settle and it's had a bit of airtime in the bottle and stuff, I feel like this is much more a sort of true representation of what it is. So, light spice. It's not big on the spice. It's not overly peppery. There's not that kind of Szechuan hit that kind of numbs your tongue or whatever. There is a little bit there. It's more of like a sort of black pepper. That kind of just that slight tingle on the sides of your tongue rather than the tip or at the back. Chili. But it is enjoyable with that kind of chocolatiness that's kind of coming through. I think one of the things for me with this is that there's a bit of a disconnect between the nose and the palate, and I know that's probably, well, it's totally my kind of thing. I mean, each to their own, right? If you like a whiskey where the nose or the palate falls on from the nose, and you've got that kind of continuation, and you're like, oh yeah, there's that note that I picked out on the nose, and I really like that. That's enjoyable for me. Whereas there's a bit of a disconnect with this between the nose and the taste, and it's not off-putting. I'm sure other people would actually really enjoy the fact that the nose is very different from the taste. I think I've had whiskies in the past where, like when I started the journey, where I've described that and I've enjoyed it. But I think as I've progressed through my journey, this is like you hone in on what you like, right? That's the whole point, and kind of going through this journey and tasting all these whiskies, is you really kind of hone in on what you like. And what I like is is finding that continuation from the nose to the palate. Quite a light mouthfeel. It's not particularly oily, and I'm going to say that that's from the triple distillation. I would imagine it's not. It'll strip out a little bit of those oils. So if you like a clean, spirited kind of whiskey, then this could be a really good choice for you. For me, I like the oils. I like that mouthfeel. I like to feel it on my lips, and it provides the the taste prolonging in your mouth for an extended period of time. Whereas I feel like this is like a little bit short. I'm going to pour myself another one. So I must have had some big gulps there. But yeah, I mean, good cork in this as well. I think with them bringing out the special edition. This isn't the special edition one. They brought out a collector's edition as well, and they're obviously trying to appeal to whiskey folk, whiskey fans, which is great. And I think that's probably why they've done the 3 casks, because it's obviously going to add like that little bit more complexity. So instead of releasing a straight bourbon at 3 years old, 4 years old, which might not have been that interesting, they've tried to shake it up a little bit. And I totally respect that, because they're a new business essentially that's trying to survive, and they have a plan of like how much money they need to make and X, Y, and Z with investment and blah blah blah. And I'm sure they've got debts that they need to pay off and so on and so forth. So they needed to come out with something, but they needed to come out with something that's going to be interesting for its age, and I think they've definitely achieved that. Getting down to it. Only got a couple of drams left. I'm spending a bit of time on this on the palate. I really am, because I didn't want to be too harsh on this whiskey. I stay in Newborough. I'm literally just along the road. It's a 2-minute walk to the distillery for me, and it's not. I don't necessarily want to be overly critical. It's not for the reason of like I stay right, just along the road, and I don't want to, get tomatoes thrown at me when I'm walking down the street or anything. It's not that. If check out my videos, I don't pull my punches, and that's why I'm spending so long on this taste, because there was elements of it that I didn't like. Like I said at the very beginning, it did kind of bore me, so I just thought I'd let it sit, and hopefully it would make it a little bit more interesting. And I kind of think it has. So that would be like one key bit of advice for me, is like if you open it and you're like, I'm not really liking that so much, give it a bit of time, have a few more drams out of it, let some air in the bottle, and just let it sit for a bit. I do think that at the moment it's a little bit confused. I don't think it really knows what it is, if that makes sense. I think the spirit might be more suited to maybe an age statement. 11 to 15 years kind of thing might be the sweet spot for the spirit. I'm not entirely sure. Don't know. I'd like to get a sample of the raw spirit, actually. I definitely feel like it's settled. I am getting some very nice kind of dark chocolate notes. A little hint of coffee in there, I think, with the bitterness. And that does come through from the nose, because I do feel like there's a bit of bitterness on the nose, but I feel like it's more orange. There is some fruit, and obviously the kind of ice and sugar sweetness. Feel like it's not particularly complex, which you would expect from a young whiskey, and maybe from triple distilled. I don't know. I'd like some more comments on your thoughts on triple distillation. Does it strip out more oils? I'm no expert here, so please inform me in the comments below if you think triple distillation strips out more oils. It kind of makes sense that it would to me. But like I said, I ain't no expert.
The echo.
Moving on. What am I getting? What flavour keeps on coming back? The echo. Like I said, it's not a particularly oily one for me. Well, not with some of the malts that I'm used to. I think what comes back is the slightly sour, bitter chocolatiness. That's what keeps staying in my mouth, and it's quite a nice balance for such a young whiskey. That kind of light wood that just stays plateaued there. You can definitely get it. The kind of woody tannins going on. Perhaps that's from the wine barrique. Not entirely sure. So yeah. In conclusion, I think, if I'm being really fair and honest, that they've done a really good job. Equally, I have to say that it's not a whiskey that I'm overly enamored with. I'm not shouting about it. It's not like, oh my god, have you had the first release from Lindores? It's amazing. I can't, in all honesty, say that. I think they've done a sterling job to get it to this point, and I think, you know, for the future, I'm sure they're going to come out with some great stuff. This, for me, doesn't quite hit the mark. For me, I'm sure I've seen loads of other good reviews on it. Everybody seems to be fairly enamored with it on YouTube. So I'm probably going to be the first slightly mediocre review on YouTube for it. But you know, it's a personal thing, right? It's just like what you like. Would I recommend that you buy it? Absolutely. It's affordable, right? It wasn't that expensive. They didn't come out with a big hefty price tag, and I appreciate that. I think if they'd come out with something that was like 65 quid or 60 quid, like, oh, doors, and really played on the history, I would have been much more begrudging of any sort of praise and everything. But the fact that it came out and it was like 40 quid or so, 41 quid I think I got it for, and it's 46%, which is good. And it does have that history and all the rest of it. Would I buy another one? I don't think I would, because I just don't think it's my kind of whiskey. I think I could grab an Auchentoshan and get a similar kind of experience for a lot less, you know. So yeah, it's a difficult one. I definitely think you should go out and buy one, try it for yourself and see. For me, it is not something that, you know, I'd necessarily want to run out and buy again. There's plenty others that I want to try for around that price range. But I really look forward to what they do in the future. And I think from this, I think we can take a lot of positives. You know, okay, this might not have been the whiskey for me. That's fine. Completely personal opinion. But the positives that you can take from it, I think, is that, you know, it isn't an awful whiskey. It is a nice whiskey, and there's a lot of positives to it. So I think I'm really looking forward to what they can do in the future, and, you know, look past all the history and the marketing and all the rest of it. I'm just judging this on what I've got in my glass right now. And I don't score whiskies, but, you know, I would say for people that are interested, buy it. For people that like Auchentoshan and maybe like that kind of chocolatey, slightly coffee kind of note that I tend to get from Auchentoshan. I don't know if you do, again, comment below if you think I'm talking rubbish or you can relate to that. Yeah, so a mixed review, a mixed bag there, I know, and no kind of real definitive thing. And I'd really like for them. I'd really like for them for it to be so, because you know it's my local distillery. It's right down the road. I would love to be shouting about this. I'd love to say, "Wow, this is just the best young 3-4 year old whiskey I've ever had," and you should run out and buy it. But in all good conscience, I just can't do that. But you know, I'm looking at the legs right now, and it's decent. It's good. It's got some legs. For me, though, the mouthfeel was a little bit too light, like I said. And yeah, I look forward to what they come out with in the future. I know that there was some Palo Cortado cask going on in there. I don't know if that's going to come for a release or if that's just for like buying casks. But I did see something in an email about Palo Cortado, and I love Palo Cortado sherry cask finished whiskey. So I really hope that they do something like come out with something like that. But yeah, something to look out for in the future. I think 11-year-old Lindores could be just the ticket. So cheers. Till next time.